All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Silverback here, along with my co-host Josh Benware, and we got a couple of guests with us tonight. We got Kris and Carl Nance. Kris is the young man who, out in Colorado, um, at his after-school program, for wearing his "Remember Benghazi" shirt, had his teacher say that he shouldn't be supporting something that didn't happen. So we're going to get a little information from Kris about the story, and also we have with us Christopher Smith, owner of PMBR, um, poor man's Black Rifle, but he abbreviated it. So yeah, there we go. Because everybody's losing their shit over the word rifle, I guess nowadays. So, so Kris, tell us about your experience a little bit. What happened?
So I was wearing a Remember Benghazi shirt. I was walking over to a aftercare thing, and I was confronted by the teacher and said, "Why are you supporting something that never happened?" So, because we have electronic clock, I whipped out my phone. I even gave him proof that I'm supporting something that did happen, and at me, and he just started going off on me.
What kind of stuff was he saying? I mean, how did he not know that this was something that actually really
He
happened?
was saying, he was saying that this never happened. You should go home, burn the shirt, and I was about to get my dad into this, and then either that or call Tonto and get him, just get him to start knowing that what the truth is.
If he showed him all the proof and still didn't get anywhere.
So, from conversations I've been having with your dad, he says you know quite a bit about the Benghazi conflict that happened over there. So, why don't you share a little bit of that with us?
So, the guys' names are Jack, Chris, Dave, correct?
Yep.
Mark, and John. And John, I believe was, even though his helmet got stopped the bullet, got shot in the head with the bullet. And Chris was one of the ones who was the funniest in that.
So tell him what happened.
So Hillary planned an attack on trying to kill the ambassador, the U.S. ambassador, Christopher Stephen. And even though he is lost, the soldiers saved Benghazi from something that could have wiped out that city in Libya.
How long was the fight? Do you remember?
13 hours.
Wow. Yeah, and so why were they over there in Libya in the first place?
Wasn't it mission? To protect the ambassador, I believe.
The GRS guys were over there at the CIA stuff, though, right?
Uh-huh.
And they just had to pitch in when the ambassador got under attack.
Uh-huh. Even though the commander that kept saying, "You will not go in. We are the last resort." They didn't care about what he said. They went in and tried to save everyone's lives.
Yeah, and they held them off pretty good. I mean, they managed to make it that 13 hours until the Libyan government could actually get in there and get them out and extract them. So, but I know the
The
U.S. government
Libyan
never
guards
really.
the Libyan guards abandoned them because they knew what was going to happen in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it seemed like
They took off running.
Yep, they took off running because
Yeah.
they knew what was going to happen.
Yep.
All right, so
So then what happened after?
Um,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, you're good.
the reason why they all abandoned, but 2 of them that later got one of the guy's arms blew off, came back, but they were speaking English even though they were the enemy, and they came up trying to frag them.
So I take it you've watched that movie? I just got done watching it.
Yeah.
Seen
it. I watched it like 15 times already.
It was a really good movie too. I enjoyed it. So who's your favorite hero out of that whole group of guys?
All of them.
You like them all? Okay. So I understand you made friends with at least one of them.
Tanto. Kris.
Yeah, Kris Paronto. Yeah. So how many times have you gotten to speak with him since this whole thing happened?
I believe 4 or 5 times.
Yep.
4 or 5 times.
You guys, he sends you stuff and talks about you a lot, huh?
Yep.
Right on. He sounds like a really good
So
guy.
Go
ahead.
The way that all came about is he was pretty down after the teacher got on him. And so I reached out to all the survivors on the Instagram pages or Facebook pages and whatever. And Chris's wife, Tanya, just happened to see my message out of the tons that he gets every day. And she asked me for more information and said that he was really interested about it. And the next thing we knew, he was doing a Facebook Live rant about it, and he was none too happy. He has talked with Kris quite a few times. He's posted about him and reached out with him, and Kris is happy to have him as a friend for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I seen the post that Kris Paronto did. Actually, the Archangel had shared it with me, and he's out here in the audience tonight. He's another good guy. I guess you all know him. You've been speaking with him as well. So he brought that to my attention, and so here we are. I was told about how Christopher Smith down here and Micheal. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. Is it
Sigouin?
Sigouin, okay. So, and he owns a Cerakoting business, right? That's what he does, Cerakoting,
Yes, he does.
beaches and stuff. So y'all got together and gave young Kris a nice surprise, didn't you?
I believe we did. First saw Tanto posted up his stuff about young Kris, and it just, being a father, it just struck a chord with me that, not so much the bullying part, it's just the part that it didn't exist. And I got Mike offered from Modern Armory, also Don Stokey, and actually one of my members of customers donated $100 towards his build, and we went ahead and got something put together for him, sent it off to his dad to give to his son. And now I've talked with Kris and Carl. We've talked almost every day back and forth, just like family. And I didn't get to see it really up close because it shipped from Blowndeadline out here in Detroit. He's right here in Michigan too. He not to plug, but just to tell you a little bit about Mike. Mike's Blowndeadline BDL Custom, and he was well known. He was the first guy to do one of those Boba Fett rifles in all Cerakote before Cerakoting blew up. So He's a genius at the Cerakoting department, and he went ahead and got a hold of everybody and got everybody's signatures lasered on his rifle. And I sent all the parts to him, and just had to get it done because it's just the right thing to do. We got enough division in our own 2A community. We need to bring it together.
Yeah, you are not wrong about that at all. And it's unfortunate. And we're going through that kind of thing right now here in the state I live in. I live in Virginia, and I'm sure you all have heard about what's going on here right now. But because of that, it's actually brought in a lot more of us in the 2A community together here, because now we're all getting together and getting these 2A sanctuaries, and they're popping up like wildfire around here. I'll tell you what. So, but yeah, that rifle, I've seen lots of pictures of it. I've seen Chris; he quite enjoys it. So, you want to show it off to everybody, Chris? See if everybody can see that beautiful little rifle you got there.
Okay, and then let's see if we can do this a little bit. If anybody can see him, I'm not 100% sure, but that's the signature side.
Yeah, you can make it out a little bit. It's a little grainy still.
And then, of course, he's got the American flag on there.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And if we go back in here, I'm not sure if we can make it out or not, but it says, remember Benghazi, September 11, 2012 on both sides of that as well.
That's beautiful.
Hey, Silverback, can you expand just on their screen only? I think you can do that. That way it'll make it to where you can see that.
Let's see, where'd we go?
Oh.
Sorry.
Take one to the chin for the team.
Hey, that's just you, brother.
Yeah, we didn't want to see you, Silverback.
I figured it out.
There we go.
It took me a second to figure it out.
All right. Here, let's see. That'll be the whole thing right there.
Yep.
And then our signatures. Kind of right there. And of course, we got the American flag in there.
Yeah.
And once you go on to the back, it says, remember Benghazi, September 11, 2012.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yep. Very
And
nice.
I can tell you that I've seen lots of these, and that's one of the nicest ones I've ever seen. And he gets told that every time we go to the range, too. These guys did an amazing job on it.
Yeah. It's one of a kind.
Yes.
That's for sure.
And doesn't the magazine have signatures on it as well?
Yes, sir. It's got all the signatures, and then on the other side, just leave it. The other side, it says both of the company names. It's got the PMBR and the BDL logos on it. And he's got a couple of those. Why don't you actually grab one real quick?
Yeah, we got it focused on you guys so you can see that sucker.
There you go. Oh, the camera's right in the middle.
There you go.
So there's that side.
All right. there we
Oh,
go.
yeah. Now you can see it. That's
Man.
beautiful.
That's awesome.
Those are nice.
So that's the survivor signatures, right?
Yes, sir. Except for one,
Except for one, yeah.
because Jack does any public type stuff.
Yeah, he tries to stay pretty private from what I understand, right?
Yeah. And while we're at the close-up stuff, you should have him show off that fancy shirt he's wearing too.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Let's go ahead and show him that. I wonder where that shirt came from.
Oh, man.
Man, I don't even have one of them.
I'll tell you what, you go on Teespring, you can get one.
Teespring. We're doing it now.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we got some people out in the crowd there. We got the Archangel, Fire and Arm Fanatic, the Poor Conservative, that Conservative, Jesse B. Outdoors. What's up,
Hey,
everybody?
Jesse.
Christian Grest, if I hadn't say that already. A lot of good people out here.
I think your favorite Uncle Will is on there too from Texas. Mr. Will's on there.
Yeah. Let's see, what do we got? So how'd you get interested in the whole Benghazi thing, Chris?
Ever since I heard the story, we got on Apple TV, we got the movie, and then later we bought the movie, and then a few weeks ago, Chris signed it and sent me the movie.
Nice.
And
Yeah. He's got quite the Kris Paronto collection going on here now.
There we go. Right on.
Wow. You don't get better than that.
Yep, that's right.
There you go. I should do that one.
it kind of does get better.
Oh, my Lord.
He like that TV guy. Just wait more.
And there's still more.
Oh, my.
All right, let's see it all. Come on, bring it all out.
Get the other one too while you're at it. All right.
So this is his new book, Patriot's Creed.
Okay.
Um,
Open it up.
and I got it signed.
And of course, this came about 3 days after I went to the bookstore and bought him one too. So,
And
Just like the
then
movie.
we got The Ranger Way. Also signed. Yeah.
and then the coolest one of all of them.
It doesn't have all five.
Oh, no, this one.
Still missing Jack, but it's better than nothing.
Show them the front of it so they know what that is.
Oh, my Lord.
Yep, that's the official book right
That's
there.
the book.
Yep.
One of the signatures in that one is the author of that one.
Yeah.
So Chris, I have a question for you, Chris. Have you shown your teacher all this stuff from these people that don't exist from an event that never existed?
I've even shown him photos of every single thing, and he's like, that still doesn't exist.
He's taken all the books to school to read them. They also sent him a wallet and then a Never Forget 13 wristband. So it's, let's see here. There's a little wristband deal that he got. And
then here's the wallet.
right in the middle. There you go. So they sent him that stuff, and he wears it to school all the time. And we haven't heard anything. I spoke to the program director after this all went down because I was trying to not create too many waves. And I spoke to us an apology, and then all of a sudden that teacher started being real nice to Chris. I'm not sure what happened. He started being real nice all of a sudden. And Chris is, and all of a sudden the teacher was bringing in A10 books for him to bring home and have, and all this other. So they were,
and
they brought him in
brought me an F-18 model to build.
Vanessa.
Yeah, so the teacher themselves has never really said I'm sorry, but the program director has, and the teacher has changed their act quite a bit. So
Excellent. And what kind of school is it that Chris goes to?
Colorado Skies Academy.
so it wasn't actually the school. He goes to an after school program at a place called Wings Over the Rockies, which is an aviation museum. And most of their stuff is military related. That's why I was super surprised to hear him come home with this story. I was like, wait a minute, of all people, they should know better. And
You think? Right?
you would think so. And so his middle school is an aviation-based STEM school. So a lot of the stuff they do, like they just did high-altitude weather balloons that they were launching and stuff like that. They've got a lot of cool stuff I never had when I was in middle school.
We got to go inside a B-17. Even though I've been inside a B-17, it wasn't that new. And a few weeks later, the plane crashed.
You guys remember that one that was on news a while ago that it was in Ohio?
Yep.
He was actually toured that exact plane shortly before.
Man.
It took off. It had lifting problems, and the third engine, if I believe, started quitting. And so they were trying to make an emergency landing, but it either landed and rolled off the runway, or it didn't hit the runway, it hit the hangar.
Yeah.
And a person inside that hangar was in like a little compartment, not knowing that either, I think he was
I don't know.
He was either found dead or in critical condition. And all 10 members on the flight were found dead.
Man.
That's terrible.
So once you get on a squirrel rant with Chris, you'll be on it for a while. So.
Wow.
I'm just still trying to imagine this teacher. It's mind-boggling.
There's 2 campuses to the Wings Over the Rockies stuff, and the one that he goes to is called Exploration of Flight. And we're good friends with the COO of that, and he's like, "There's no way." He's livid, and he was like, "Well, maybe we should see if we can book Tanto to come out and do a movie screening and have the teacher that was doing this take part in it." And I'm like, "Oh Lord, that'll be loud."
Very one-sided and very loud conversation.
Yeah.
And then we asked all the guys if they wanted to come out too, and yet again, it'd still be an even louder conversation and one-sided.
Yeah.
I bet your teacher would be like, "What on God's green flat earth is going on here?"
Exactly.
And Epstein didn't kill himself.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was Hillary's fault.
And the Clintons don't suicide anybody.
Hey, be quiet. You're going to get us all killed here, man.
Yeah, we said that. You might not see me or hear from me ever again after tonight.
We got your back, buddy.
Everybody's just going to see the loading sign.
I could be in Virginia in about 10 hours, bro.
I might have enough to keep me alive for a little while.
They probably assigned like 4 or 5 hitting hats.
His other major passion is flying. He's been flying for almost 2 years now. He takes flying lessons in little small Cessna planes, and he even got an invite to go down to an admissions forum at the Air Force Academy last year when he was only 9 years old, and they normally reserve that for juniors in high school. And he went down to that, and they actually just sent him some more mail this year wanting him.
Oh,
yeah, I just got a new calendar.
Do you like math?
Kinda. Well, especially when I'm counting bullets and bullet holes.
But do you like regular math?
Kinda.
That was a good answer.
I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah, and the shooting range was so mad when I was using the green tips. They went straight through the catcher and into the wall, and that's where they stopped.
Yeah,
they were. And when I was trying to reload my magazine, they literally came up to me and said, "Hey, you can't reload with that."
Yeah, they typically don't like green tips at the indoor range. Yeah.
I like a guy who loves guns. He's like a gunaholic. He loves them so much, even though he goes to an indoor shooting range that has like, the walls that curve in and the roof and floor that curve in. That's where he normally goes, and that'd be kind of better for a green tip to go.
Yeah.
Because it could bounce off the sides and just hit and stop.
Look down the middle.
Yeah.
Oh man. What
You
else?
need to come out here with me, and when I go to the farm, because we can shoot all kinds of stuff out there. We shoot cars, pumpkins,
I've already
turkeys, dryers, washing machines, all kinds of stuff. Green tips would be perfectly fine for that.
Propane
20
tanks.
lined up windshields.
Yeah, layers
Yep.
of windshield. Yeah.
No. He got an invite from the head instructor of Battleline Tactical. He's going to go do some training with them pretty soon. So he's pretty excited about that. That's
I'm probably gonna wear the shirt.
yep. That's Tonto's little training company, and he doesn't make the age restriction to where he can go to their actual trainings. So they're going to do a one-on-one with him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that sounds real good. So where's that going to take place at?
That'll be in Colorado Springs, about an hour from us, down at their home range that he uses. Apparently the guy lives down in Colorado Springs, so we've been talking back and forth, and they're going to set it up, and we're going to go have some fun. We're going to go have some fun. I get to go take pictures.
Just at like 10 o'clock today, we were cleaning the gun already.
Yeah.
Because the day before Thanksgiving, I was shooting. And the day after, I was shooting. And the day before, I collected my AR bullets, like I sometimes do. And I was handing them out because I found a few 9mm in my little section. And I was handing them out. And then one of my friends.
Hang on, guys. I think I have something to talk to here.
Ooh.
Hello?
Oh, surprise phone call.
It's Tonto.
Okay. Perfect. They're just
All right.
We're double muted.
That's right. So tell us a little bit about what you put into that rifle you built for Chris.
Well, basically the parts he got was a build I was going to do. And I just, I have enough. But I have a couple OEMs I use here in Michigan. Those are the hand guards were hand turned. I get those right here in Michigan through a company called GLFA. No, I read Toolcraft BCG. I tore it apart, ran an MPI, MPI bolted it like Toolcraft offers, but then I replaced them with the second generation firing pin retainer. And Carl, on their first night out cleaning, had to give me a call. He's like, what is this? So they could not get that out. I don't know if any of y'all have seen one before, but I run these on mine. They're not a cotter pin, but they have the end of a cotter pin. But yeah, he was calling me, man, I can't get this out. He was sending me videos, and he was going over a very, very tight ship with that boy on how to clean that rifle and get it right. But yeah, they got it apart, and now they got it back together, and they went out and shot. It was good. I think I ran just a 1.8, a 223 Wild 1.8 barrel on there. No specific brand, but I couldn't even remember if I told you where I picked it up from. But it was a PMBR upper, and the lower was used was Modern Armory, Don Stokey at Modern Armory. But yeah, it was a nice build. I was really I left all the artistic stuff to BD&L, to Mike, to take care of how he wanted it, and we went back and forth a little bit with some pictures and what to add, what not to add, because you didn't want it to be too busy, like a lot of the Cerakoting. But it turned out to be a masterpiece. I was I was ecstatic when I got the final picture before it was sent to Kris and Carl. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. It just struck a chord deep in me to do this for this young man. I have one son who's he's only 20 months old, so I'm kind of adopting Kris and living precariously through him and Carl right now, and kind of jealous with the amount of shooting area they have out there in Colorado.
Can I interrupt for just 1 second? We have a special guest on here.
All right.
Hear me?
Can you guys hear him?
I'm good. I don't know if I call me. I'm special. I'm kind of slow sometimes, man. I don't know. Is that politically incorrect to say in Colorado? I don't
Well, you're in more than Colorado right now, sir.
you're all in just special head cases every once in a while. Yeah, I can hear you guys all right. So I appreciate you guys having me on for a little bit.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate you being here.
Heck yeah. It's an honor.
So I understand you've befriended our young friend Kris here over all this.
Yeah, well, a while back, I just, I believe, hey, Carl, correct me if I'm wrong. You may want to correct the timeline when I get off the phone here, but it's been a few months now. I think at least 2 months. I'm older though now, so my senility sits in, and sometimes I forget how long it could have been yesterday, and I would have thought it was a month ago. My brain's not working like it used to. But Kris, I saw his story. My wife pointed it out to me about and to me, I took it as him being a bully just a little bit. Being, I don't know, get you off my speaker. Him being bullied a bit by a teacher, and to me that just didn't sit well. And I don't care if he was wearing a Benghazi shirt or if he was wearing, Hillary for President shirt. If you're being bullied by an adult, especially a teacher, and I grew up in education. So my mom was a teacher. My dad has a PhD. I got my graduate degree. When you're in that position of authority, definitely to a youngster, and that's now because it was Benghazi. Of course, it's close to my heart. But I felt like somebody should stand up for him, and to me, it seemed like the right thing to do. And as a teacher, you have more responsibility in that than try to shame, especially a youngster like Kris, who probably is the most, he's more intelligent than I am. I don't know if that's saying much, but he is. Somebody that isn't wearing the shirt for a political statement. He's wearing it because he loves the military, and he loves Rangers, and he loves SEALs, and he loves Marines, and he's wearing it because he sees those guys as heroes and seeing. And I'll never call myself a hero, but those that I've served with are heroes. And for a teacher to come at Kris like that and basically say that Benghazi never happened, it was a conspiracy. Of course, the media spiel, the left-wing media, which I've never agreed with on there, but we're not going to get into that. I go to Kris and to really it was to shame him for wearing a shirt when all he is, he'd rather see the military, and I agree with him, rather see military personnel as heroes than. I thought that was lowbrow, and I woke up, and luckily for me, I have a little of all these years that people listen to on the positive side most of the time. And people saw it, listened, and here we are. Here we are still talking about it. I do want to say it's probably been about a month and a half, but I could be off a little bit.
I think it was the 14th of September or so that I reached out and spoke with your wife.
That's right.
So, yeah, it's been a little while.
But that
All
means
right,
that's not a go ahead, brother. We got a little delay, so if I talk over you, come on back
No
on.
problem.
I'm sorry.
I just want you to introduce yourself real quick, because there's a couple of people asking who's on the phone. I don't think they quite got it.
Sure. My name is Kris Paronto. Some people know me as Tonto. If you've seen the movie 13 Hours or read the book of the same, or you've read The Ranger Way or the new book I have out, The Patriot's Creed, I was an Army Ranger with 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. And then I also was a military or a security contractor, whatever the term you want to call that, been called both private military contractor, private security contractor, who did that for several years, over 10 years. And part of my stint, one of my tours was in Benghazi, Libya during 2012. I was the guy wearing shorts that night that fought Ansar Sharia and Al Qaeda in the Maghreb on wearing shorts and just doing my best to protect U.S. personnel on the ground in Libya to try to get them out of there alive. And, during the course of that firefight, basically there was 5 separate firefights that night that we were in. 2 of my teammates, Tyrone Woods, former Navy SEAL, and Glenn Doherty, Bub, died that night, along with Christopher Stevens and Basher Stevens, a great patriot, and Sean Smith, another great patriot, both diplomats that work for the U.S. State Department. I was actually with the CIA at the time.
Yeah, you just answered the question I was going to ask too, because after I saw that movie, which I just watched it before we started this live stream here, and I was like, now I'm going to ask him if he actually really did wear shorts that night.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't in the movie because we weren't able to get it cleared, but I actually was wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt as well, but we couldn't put that in the movie because we had to get the copyright from Disney. And so I had shorts, Mickey Mouse shirt, I had little ankle socks on. I was just wearing a $20 Timex. I always tell guys that when they're going down range, guys, you don't need to go buy that fancy G-Shock, all that crap over there. Yeah, we have them at Ranger Battalion. Yeah, we have Delta guys. But we get those things issued to us. We don't need to go buy them. What works, just go get a $20 Timex. That thing will work and run and run and run forever. And bought everything except the Mickey Mouse shirt. And I think, honestly, I don't know I know it's probably in a tough box somewhere. I found everything else from my shoes up to my shorts, my watch, but I can't find the Mickey Mouse shirt, but I know it's probably in a tough box downstairs somewhere, so it'll turn up.
He fought the holy war in shorts.
Yeah, that time it kind of felt like it was after what was going on in Egypt, and with the whole change over there in power, and you didn't know if Hamas or Hezbollah was, and that kind of filtered to us, and then it was the word of, and which everybody sees now was what was going on with us trying to overthrow another dictator, which was Assad, which is of course failed miserably as well, as everybody's seeing at the moment. So but you didn't think of it that way. I didn't think of it that way. It was time to go to work, and that's not a macho thing. I've been doing it for 10 years. I think if something would have happened earlier in my career like that, I probably wouldn't have reacted as well as I did. I also had a great teammate. I had 5 great guys that were senior guys too. We all were older. So I don't think it's coincidence that happened late in our careers. That incident where really we were overcoming obstacles and overcoming adversity together, really being outmanned and outgunned. But we were able as a team to hold it together, just because I do believe a lot of it was experience. And I said all of us had gone through a lot deploying and being in stressful situations or combat situations or under duress. I've been deploying for 10 years at that point. That's why it hits me home when I see something wrong, and it's something that is something as menial, and it is, when not to the child but to the teacher, and the teacher's berating or shaming a child for supporting military veterans, or supporting, whether they think it's a political statement or not, which in Chris's case it wasn't. When they want to see the military veterans as heroes, because I've lost friends, I've lost those. I'll tell you right up, I was shooting over Tyrone's head when he got blown up. I saw it. I mean, that's something that doesn't go away. So when a teacher treats Benghazi as menial as that teacher did, and thinks that it was something made up, it takes it personal. It's not a political side I'm taking on that point. That's a personal side I'm taking, and that makes me pretty angry. And doing it to I said, probably knows more about Benghazi and other battles out there because he studies and reads more so than probably 80% of Americans out there. If I could stand up and stand up for him, I was going to do that. it's do the right thing. And that's all it is, and having some integrity. And I think I did at that point. Hey, I don't always have integrity, but at that point, and my wife will tell you that. And hey, I'm human. I'm fallible. The only one that's perfect out there is God. I'm not. But I still try to do the right thing, and when I can. And and I hope in Chris's case, and it was. But I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking for any attention for it. It just was standing up for somebody who I felt needed to be stood up for, and something that I knew a lot about, which was that night in Libya.
So
he sure appreciates it.
Yeah, everybody in the side chat's thanking you for your service, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Let me ask you this: why do you think that people believe that Benghazi didn't happen? What's your theory behind that?
Well, from what I've seen, and I've had my share of being in the media spotlight a little bit as well over the years, and I've since pulled back up quite a bit from it. But I do believe that it does hurt people's paradigm, people's beliefs, and they do hold huge beliefs of politicians now. They really do see them as messiahs. And when there's something that threatens their belief in a certain messiah, they're just going to use rationalizations. It's cognitive dissonance at its best. It's, hey, if I say the sky is green enough times, I'm going to believe it's green. If I say Benghazi didn't happen enough times, it didn't happen. And when you have a former president out there calling Benghazi conspiracy, and that's again, we're looking at politics. That side, you believe that version, that's what's going to happen. It's hard to have your paradigm challenged and admit you're wrong. That is one of the things that we have in society that's everybody on both sides of the aisle has difficulty doing, is saying, you know what, I'm wrong, or you know what, this person isn't, this politician I'm worshiping right now, they're wrong. We can't do that because nobody's ever wrong. Everybody's got to be right, and we've lost that. And back in the old days, that was an issue. If your man was wrong or woman was wrong, most of the time they step back and say, you know, I'm wrong. I'll fix myself. That's called integrity. We've lost a lot of that in today's society, and it goes back to, and people think it's as simple as this. I do. It goes back to taking prayer out of school. It goes back to taking God out of school. It goes back to taking the Pledge of Allegiance out of school. It goes back to saying that Christianity isn't important anymore. And once I think that's a lot of it. I really do. But there's a scene, and there's another movie, No Country for Old Men, where the guy said, Tommy Lee Jones, and I don't like to repeat movies as much, but this is perfectly spot on. I wish I would have thought of it instead of a movie writer. But he says, when certain man goes, the rest are soon to follow. That is so spot on. And I know it was in a movie. I wish I would have thought of something smart like that to say. But that is so, when discipline and faith and integrity and just common decency and just sacrifice and leave, then that's what's going to happen. And I didn't really think that's why. I went on a little tangent there, but that's why people believe Benghazi didn't happen.
Amen.
It happened. Yeah.
Well, I've come to believe that they are trying to rewrite history and change people's perspective of history in the schools too. Kind of my own little theory, because my son himself, he used to get in trouble all the time, especially in history class when they were going over World War II. He used to correct the teacher all the time, and she used to she'd constantly call my wife, telling my wife to tell my son to stop correcting her because those were not the correct answers for the test, even though they were the correct answers in real life, but they weren't the correct answers on the test. So, my wife in turn was like, so what you're saying is you're teaching kids the wrong answers, something that's not right. And the teacher kind of sat back for a minute, and she was like, well, yeah, because that's what the test says is right. So,
that goes. I think there's a lot of that's been going on for years. We're just more people now stand up than in the past if something is wrong. I'll be honest. It'd be hard if I was given the option to do it again and stand up and speak out. I don't know if I would or not. The reason being not because it wasn't the right thing to do. We did sacrifice the team, myself. We sacrificed everything to speak out. and still people there, like what we're talking about right now, there's still people out there that don't believe what took place here, that don't blame. I mean, I don't think Oz blew his arm off just for a conspiracy theory or for a more, his arm didn't come off just because we wanted to make something up to affect an election. Oz is a tough son of a gun, but he wouldn't go that far. That's just the senselessness of it. And I believe the government does rewrite history, and just people now are seeing it a little bit more. But now we have the pushback on the other end that, well, wait a second, if the government's lying to us, if our leaders are lying to us, if our paradigms are being challenged, we're all up in the air. What are we going to do now? We don't have anybody to believe in, and it's just the state of society nowadays, and we can fix it. And I think stuff like this, when you see a wrongdoing, especially to a child, you stand up for that child and that allow that child also to stand up for himself or herself. And I believe Kris did. I think Kris handled himself gracefully, more gracefully than I would have. in character. And that gives me hope in the future too, with kids like Kris. And I will say the same thing to anybody else. And I even said that when I posted stuff about Kris, I said, even if a child, whether people out there, if you know Benghazi, when you start to know me, I don't support the Clintons. I know Hillary had a lot to do with what went on there that night. I'm not going to get in that rabbit hole right now. I've done that enough. But if I saw a child wearing a Hillary Clinton for president shirt, I wouldn't berate that child either. That's not the right thing to do. Educate a little bit, but you don't talk down and you don't speak badly and make the child feel awful for a shirt they're wearing. And so we got to be careful. We can speak on one side and say the other side that, and we have two sides, guys. That's how society is. It's how America is. We have two sides. You still gotta hold the same standards for both sides. And that's where I sometimes see there we become hypocrites on the right and the left. We can't be hypocrites on the right or left. That doesn't show integrity either. And I don't think little Kris showed any sort of anger. Maybe I missed something, Carl, but I didn't see anything like that at all. And I saw him showing a lot more integrity than most adults do, putting us in situations.
The biggest thing he had was he was sad when he called me and told me about it. He didn't understand how people don't think it happened. So
hey, your son, well, he knows it does now. He's got myself, and you got two big Benghazi guys there in Colorado. You got Oz and Tig, and both those guys are bigger than me. I'm just $160, dude. I'm dripping wet. So, and I believe me, they're probably a little bit more even politically vocal than I am now. So if you needed them, I guarantee you. Yeah. And Tig's a big dude. Tig will be at your doorstep in a second. Tig's got a massive heart. He may come across as a gruff, angry redneck, but the dude has the biggest heart in the world. He really does.
So did you have any input in the movie at all, or was that just something based off of one of the books?
Oh, yeah, you know what? We did. We actually consulted on it on quite a bit down in the script writing, who, for those that know movies and know Hollywood, Chuck Hogan, who wrote the script, is a tremendous writer in his own right. He's a tremendous script writer. Of course, Michael Bay, the director, but Michael let us be a big part of it. And the gentleman that played me, Pablo Schreiber, him and I are still friends. In fact, we just texted a couple of days ago to each other, and him and I don't have the same political views either. Not that he's pretty middle of the road. I've become more middle of the road than anything, but him and I still have different political views, and we're still good friends. So yeah, and that just shows how much that we actually took the project in 13 hours. Didn't matter about politics, and didn't matter to us. Didn't matter to the guys, the actors that played in it. It didn't make a difference. They just wanted to get a story out about what took place and honor and show sacrifices and heroism of veterans and military personnel. And at that point, we were security contractors, but yeah, we were all former military. And so yeah, we were allowed to do a lot of it. We actually got to be at Bay Studios and did a script read through, did some changes on set. It was cool in Malta. just seeing how tactically sound and just working with the guys a little bit, along with the military advisors, who some of those military advisors I actually work with on contracts downrange. So I knew them. I knew the guys actually on helping doing the actual military training to the actors, and then I'd pull Pablo aside and do stuff that I would do personally, and what we do at the 75th Ranger Regiment. So yeah, a lot of input, and made a lot of friendships, and it was a heck of a cool experience, especially with a director like Michael Bay. I think he loves veterans, from my impression, and I don't think he has a political agenda at all. I think he just loves making action movies, and he loves making movies where he can use real veterans in his movies, and he has real veterans consulting, real military personnel consulting to get it down right. I really do. I think he gets a bad rap on a lot of the CGI stuff. I think a lot of CGI stuff he does is incredible, but 13 Hours, there wasn't a ton of CGI in it, and he really held true to the story and to the book, and he did what he could do. Granted, it's hard to get a 13-hour experience in a 2.5-hour movie. So the book, of course, 13 Hours, what really happened in Benghazi, written by my team, myself, and Micheal Zukov, is of course more accurate. Books are always more accurate than the movie, but the movie is pretty good. I was very happy with how it came out, and I was very happy how true they stayed to the experience, especially the timelines, and especially the personalities of each individual character, which was pretty dang accurate. And especially mine's spot on. Pablo played me. That's no joke. If you see Pablo Schreiber when you meet in real life, that's me, except he's a monster. Like I said, I'm teeny. He's huge. I'm a little guy. But other than that, our personalities are dang near, from what you see in the movie to my real personality off screen. Yeah, it is. I'm a better dancer than what he showed in the movie. I'm getting all that. Yeah. Yeah, guys. I got a couple more minutes, so if you want to do a couple more questions, guys. I actually get into these conversations, and I've got my wife pointing at her watch, going, "It's time to go." And she's the boss. Don't even think Tano is not the boss of his own house. Mrs. Tano is the boss. But that's how it should be. Happy wife, happy life, and that
there
is
you go.
That is the truth. That's
yep. Same thing here.
I can try one more. If you got something else, something off that line, I'd be more than happy to answer.
You got a question for him, Chris?
Chris, come on, you get the last one. Definitely.
You do the last one.
I'm gonna do just make sure to take it shot on the head with the helmet.
Oh, he has a question about the movie, so go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did
Just
Tig
speak up,
actually get shot on the head on his helmet?
Actually, what happened, that was Oz. Here what happened, that firefight, actually, the round, there was a light that was above, and if you saw him during that fight, watch the movie again, watch that first firefight, you'll see him running around shooting the lights out, because what we did is, we turned all the lights off on the inside of the compound, and we turned them all on the outside, because we wanted them to not be able to, those lights are marked floodlights, a lot of amps going through those things. So basically, we're blinding them, but we're making it easy on ourselves because we turn the lights off on the inside of the compound. But what happened is when the firefight was going on, it's around tagged that one of the lights, and either there was a ricochet that knocked out light, or a piece of the round came off that light and it tagged him in his helmet. So yeah, that is actually accurate. And people are like, why didn't he get shot? Why didn't it go through his helmet? Because if a 7.62 direct in that helmet, it might have, it might not have. But the reason it did what it did, and Oz did fight through it. He did. The reason is because it actually caught the light first, and then either a fragment of it caught his helmet, or a piece of that steel light came off and hit him in the helmet. But it hit him full force, and I remember the nick in his helmet. Actually, Tig also, he caught a piece of a round in his chest too. So when he came down and he says armor caught it, that wasn't a movie magic either. Actually, Tig, and we didn't have ceramic, we had old style steel. And it caught that steel chicken plate, but it wasn't the full force of the 7.62 round. It probably would have broke his ribs. It was another deflection, and the round just fragmented. And as it fragmented, that little fragmentation is what caught Oz's helmet, and then a fragmented round, a fragment of the round, 7.62 round, AK-47 round, caught Tig's thick steel chicken plate.
Wow.
And so yeah, that's the people. How's that? That's the movie. No, actually, that's what happened. And
There you go.
guys, if you've never been in combat before, and I'm no Sergeant York, I'm no Audie Murphy, I'm nothing like that. But that sometimes those weird things happen. It's the weirdest things in the world. Sometimes the bad weird things happen, and you have bad luck, and around catches you. It's never happened, but around that shouldn't hit you, it does. In our case, we were very blessed, and I don't think that was a coincidence. Those rounds could have caught them, and they actually caught the light stands, and just fragments caught it, and they caught them in the right places too, of two areas that they at least had very good armor. One was Oz's head. Oz has a pretty good hard head anyway, so it's hard to bounce off his head. Oz is a tough. He is. He's a tough cowboy. Tig, though, but he caught his helmet, and Tig's, the piece of the round caught his chicken plate, which was solid steel, because we didn't honestly, a lot of our ceramic stuff overseas was so old we didn't trust it, and we all had old 10-inch chicken plates, so we all just threw chicken. It made it heavier. Our armor was heavier, but we just made a round very difficult to get through. Luckily, if it was a direct hit, though, it wouldn't have punched through. But a direct hit on our chicken plate, though, will break some ribs badly. And luckily for him, it was just a piece of the AK-47 and actually his chicken plate caught. But
awesome.
God bless you. God's looking out for him. That's what I always think.
Amen.
All right. But there is one question from the audience out there. He'd like to know what had you guys the most worried about what was going on there. Yeah, you heard something about the weapons going through there.
You really don't. That's the thing is that, and I do think that's kudos to speak about the special operations community. I give the community a lot of respect for how they prepare guys, how they prepare SEALs and Rangers and PJs and combat controllers and now even TAC-Ps. I know that CCTs are going to be upset that I lumped the TAC-Ps in with special operations, but I do feel like TAC-Ps should be considered part of the special operations community if they aren't already officially. That's how MARSOC Marines, the training gets you through. So when stuff like that happens, you put the worries out of your head, and I say you go to work. Some people say it's robotic. I don't think it's robotic. I think it's just, okay, we got a job to do. And yes, there are fleeting feelings of sometimes that they try to creep in. It's like anything else not really of hopelessness, but of, okay, am I going to get out of this? But then you push them away. As quickly as they come in, they push away, and you just, okay, it's time to go to work. It's just like a game. It really is. It's like I played football all through college. Actually, I played at Colorado Mesa University there in Colorado. But when you play sport, you play to win. You don't play to not lose. You play to win. Well, that's the mindset, I think, of most special operation troop out there, is that you go in. Yeah, you got to fight off those obstacles, those negative obstacles that may come into play. Like us, it was being left behind. We knew nobody was coming, but you still, in all of our mindsets, not just mine, but the entire team, it was, okay, we can overcome this. We're going to find a way to get out of this. We're going to keep fighting. We're not going to give up, because once you give up, you're done. I mean, that's not what special operations troops do. That's not what Delta does. It's not what special forces, the commanders in extremis forces do. That's not what Rangers do by any means. Believe me, I know 75th Ranger. They don't quit. That's not what SEALs do. There's no give up. And if you're able to get that give up out of your head, it just becomes, what is my job? What's my next task at hand? What do I need to do to win this fight? And you can break it up into little fight. You don't break it up into one big fight, because then it can become overwhelming. You just break it up to situation. Okay, how do I get through this situation? Okay, there's a lull in the action here. What do I need to do to prep just in case we're hit again? That is my next fight. I need to eat some Snickers. I need to get some bullets. I need to get some water. I need to make sure my night vision. Okay, I'm good to go. Then when they hit us again, okay, what do? Well, we kill every terrorist that's coming at us, and we fight them off until they stop coming at us anymore. And that's how you do. You just take every little piece, little by little. If you take the whole aspect of it, where it's, okay, how are we going to get out of this thing? Oh my gosh, nobody's coming. Oh my Lord, how long are we going to be here? We may be here for 4 days. Oh my Lord, nobody's going to come get us. That's when the hopeless demon comes in and snatches you, and that's when you lose. That's when you give up, letting the situation overwhelm you. And special operations community, whether it's in training or whether it's overseas, it's always they teach you how to break that up. They teach you how to deal with that stress and how to compartmentalize the little bits of stress that you have and then overcome and win every little obstacle instead of just taking this huge picture. Yes, there's a goal at the end, but you have to overcome each hurdle to get to that goal. You're not just running through each hurdle to try to win it. And that's the beauty of special operations. That's the beauty of that team that was there. And that's why we didn't give up, and we didn't think that we were going to lose. Not one time in my head did I think we were going to lose. There was one time where I was like, man, we can't beat these mortars. We don't have any air support. There was when I saw Tyrone and Bub and Dave Ubin and Oz, when I saw them get hit with the 8mm mortars. That was our 5th fight that night. I did for a second put my head down. I ain't going to lie to you. I did. Like, can't beat this. We don't get any air support. And then God said, get your gun up. He said in my back of my head, he goes, get your gun up, Ranger. And I kept fighting. And so did Jack. And so did Boone. You don't give up. You don't give up, and you just don't let the situation overwhelm you by taking it all on at once. Just like this pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. I ate little slices. I didn't eat the whole thing all at once because I wouldn't have finished it. But I ate little slices every hour, and I was able to finish all pie. It's that simple. I mean, people think it's funny. It is. It's funny making that kind of comparison. But that is essentially what it is. You just take that little, keep eating it, keep going until you win or until it's finished. So that was it in a nutshell, guys. And I hope that answers the question. I try to use analogies that everybody can understand and it's how I understand them because I am a simpleton. So that's how I have to figure things out myself.
Well, right on. So you want to give yourself a plug before you head out, or like what are you doing?
I'm sure. I don't mind. I'm here, guys. I appreciate it. I don't do a lot of selfish promotion. I like selfless promotion where people will just help me out a little bit, and that's nice. But I'm out here doing I have a 3rd book called The Patriot's Creed, and do some book signings. Battleline Tactical is a training company that I have of myself, another fellow Ranger, and a outstanding combative instructor. Ben Morgan is 1st Ranger Battalion. He's one of my firearms instructor, and Benny Glossip, who's a combative instructor. I have a Chris Donor, who's a edge weapons instructor. We go out and we teach at different ranges, and then Battleline. I have a podcast myself, actually called Battleline Podcast, with the former engineer for the Andrew Wilkow show and David Webb show, and then he was a producer for SoftRep. He asked if I wanted to do my own podcast because he wanted to leave SoftRep, and I said, well, I mean, I'd be an idiot to say no, and it was another experience I thought would be fun. So I have a podcast called Battleline Podcast, and we'll see. And then I'm just trying to be family, guys. I'm just trying to be family, man. And so I love people if they read the books that I have out there, Ranger Way, The Patriot's Creed, and then of course we have Record 13 Hours. But if you don't, at least read something that inspires you and keeps you going. But Chris, you've inspired me, and guys, I appreciate you letting me take more time than I said I was going to, and I appreciate you giving me that little plug. I really do, and it helps me just to put things out there and put the Battleline Tactical name out there, my name out there, and the books, the Patriot in 13 Hours, because I don't know, it inspired one young man down with Chris, and if it inspires more, then honestly it's doing what it needs to do, and it's inspiring and making youngsters and giving youngsters and giving me hope with youngsters of in the future that are better.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go get my butt kicked. I'm probably in the doghouse. But hey, Carl, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Hey, thanks, guys, again. And you got my wife's info. Just hit me up. If you have a podcast coming up, if you just give me a couple weeks heads up if you ever want to do one again. And I'm more than happy to do it as long as I can plan for it. And yeah, guys, I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. And little Chris, man, I know you're out shooting your dad out there. Keep it up. I have yet to see you post a picture of the targets. You better post the targets.
Oh,
I appreciate it. Tell her thank you for helping out as well.
One of the funny things I did on one of my targets is I gave
Merry Christmas,
one
brothers.
of the guys ear pierces. Perfect ear pierces.
Yeah, seen where you were puncturing all his vital organs too.
Yeah, saw that too.
He's been doing pretty good. He's getting better, so that's all we can ask for.
Hey, that's all we want.
He wants to tell you.
So my friend, he was being bullied. I walked up and I said, "Please don't do that." And so I told him, "Let's walk away and go play, do something." And then the bully was running up. I heard the rock going behind, and I shoved my friend out of the way. I took a very, very hard slap right here, right about there. Little a punch about right at, maybe a kick at my knee, and I held back, punching him in the face because I was at school, and ever since I've seen that kid bully other kids, I kept doing the same thing. I tried to keep the safest distance I can, but if I have to, I go up to it. I'll go up to him.
So the part that he left out is this 8th grader was picking on his autistic friend, the kid that couldn't defend himself. And so Chris decided to step in and help him out.
I shall.
And if I wanted to, I could have knocked him out.
Yeah, my son had a bully when he was in school, but one day my son said, "You know what?" He decided, he said, "This enough is enough," and he turned around and laid that kid flat out, and that kid never bothered him again. So,
yeah, and next time, because there's a lot of boys in this one school, like half of the population of Tanto is boys. And whenever I come across bullies, even though the principals get mad at me, I don't care if they get mad at me for calling my dad or mom in situations where because of that, because the teachers get mad at me for trying to call my dad to get them to call the principal to get the principal in there, but instead escorting the kid, they escorted me out thinking that I was the problem.
Gonna happen, buddy.
Yeah. And that's the part that got me the most angry instead of the slap or the punch or something. That was the part that got me most angry.
See, here in Virginia, they have this thing they call zero tolerance. I'm not sure if it's the same in every state, but it doesn't matter who started the fight, who finished the fight, or whatever. Everybody who's involved gets the same punishment.
Socialism.
Yep. They did the thing that really pissed me off with the autistic friend of his when he got in the fight, when the other kid hit Chris, that other kid went back to school and the principal was calling me. And I'm like, wait a minute. like Chris is protecting his friend and I'm the one getting a phone call.
And I held a split-second decision of turning around and punching the kid in the face.
You better say hi, Mom, because she's watching it and texting me that you're not saying hi to her. Say,
hi, Mom.
Hi.
Hey, Mom.
Oh, goodness.
It's like, not right now, Mom. I'm talking with the boys about whooping some butt.
My wife come over here and she was like, "Did you just say hi, Mom?"
Hey, you can never be too tough to say hi to Mom. Never.
Damn straight.
Ever.
All right. All right.
So was that a surprise, Chris?
Did you know Tanto was going to call?
No.
Good answer.
No, but as soon as he called, he was like, "It's Kris Paronto."
He saw the caller ID come up on my phone. And
No, that wasn't the only thing that gave it away. I heard his voice. Like, as soon as he picked it up, I knew it was Tonto. Just like, dang, I recognize that voice.
Well, he's a very humble man.
Yep. It was nice talking with him. I mean, he's pretty intelligent, even though he doesn't, boast that he is. That's definitely for sure, especially at his craft,
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
So, Chris, now,
Funny
did you
thing-
want an AR-15?
Yes, that is actually was on my Christmas list. But now I've changed it to a 9mm.
A 9mm what, though? Because you got
AR-9?
so many different ones to choose from.
I know a guy that can get that for you.
Uh-huh. I'll show you. I'll show you one of my favorite 9mm.
I'll show you mine too. Hang on.
What do you think about that?
I've shot something similar to that.
Yeah, that's very cool. When we went out to our friend's house, that one you saw out on the field, Chris got to shoot one of those.
Right on.
You really like that, huh?
I was looking at 9mm at Cabela's, the gun library. I was looking at 9mm like Tiggs. It was sort of like it because one of the handguns he has a layer of plastic and rubber. Like it goes plastic rubber with designs.
Look at that, Chris.
Ooh. I've seen that before in a video.
I got
You
one.
did?
Of that.
Are you stalking me? It's
You know
my
what,
favorite
though?
gun. It's my favorite to shoot.
I like my AR-9 also. It is a good gun to shoot.
It is. I love it. I can't quite justify doing a pistol on it when I carry a 9mm, but I love that 16-inch.
Speaking of carrying, this is what I'm carrying right now. It's a Taurus G2 PT-111.
M&P 2.0.
No, it's a Taurus. What's that one?
CZ.
Is that the CZ?
Yeah, CZ
Nice.
P10C. That's my carry.
He's over here telling me
CZ's nice. I took a CZ P07 and I shot a 200-yard target with it.
You're kidding, really?
Yeah, I went out there. First shot I missed, just made a slight adjustment, and then I shot it. Took about, 3 seconds to get out there, and then you heard it go ping. So I was like, oh my God.
Well, you know why you got the second shot, right?
Why is that?
Because it went to single action.
Yeah, that's right. It was much easier.
That's why you missed the first one, because it was double.
Lord have mercy.
Oh yeah. One of the funny things.
Ozark Yeoman says he's 31 and he still says hi to his mom often.
We were with my friend and our friends, and me and my cousin, we were shooting at a target. Every time we heard the me and him were either hitting a chain or the legs of the targets.
Break that sound again. What it sound like? You sound like an old Clint Eastwood movie, buddy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we went down range and we were putting up the targets, and they had hit the legs and the chains and all kinds of stuff. And but it was his first day out, so he did pretty good.
Yeah, and especially with legs that were like half of an inch, and those weren't even part of the actual target. They were just to hold it. That was the funny part. We literally just hollowed out the legs of it.
So you like shooting at steel targets?
Huh?
Do you like shooting at steel targets?
Yeah. Especially when you almost break the legs of them.
What do you like better, steel targets or shooting at the paper ones inside?
Chris, you need to get your dad to introduce you to a stuff called tannerite.
I already have.
On the first day we went out, he blew up a big old container of tannerite.
And
Nice.
on the same day or the day after, our friend was leaving to like a different city or state, and the TSA probably loved that.
Yeah, he was worried because he had to get on a flight and he was making it in.
Yeah, I think he had fun with TSA.
So, have you ever seen what tannerite does to a frozen turkey?
No. But I have seen it blow up a plastic water bottle because I had a plastic water bottle right above it, and every time I had to dig a little hole through the dirt to try to hit the tannerite, and it took like maybe 6 shots to get through a little layer of dirt that one bullet should have been able to go through. That was
you out of here
fun.
30
That was
pounds of tannerite going off.
Yeah, that's a lot.
The hard part was when they put it in like a little ditch from the target being hit so much.
Yeah, they put it in front of the target and he couldn't see it because it was just in a little container about like that.
And I had to have the water bottle up there because I was like a little lower than a water bottle, and I believe I hit like the water bottle before it could have hit the tannerite, but it missed the tannerite. I was hoping to get 2 in 1, and it took 5-6 shots to get to the tannerite. And if it I could have got that bottle back whole, as it was still right by the tannerite, and the tannerite blew it up into tiny, tiny pieces.
Yeah.
And if I had it, wait.
Oh, he's disappearing. What are you doing?
1 second.
Oh,
Well, I like shooting the sonic boom because it comes in bright orange containers, so you can see it really good.
uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it? Okay. Either one of these, I think both of these deformed bullets were probably hit by the tannerite. I found a few of them. That one wasn't the worst
there you go.
one.
Now try.
This is the worst one. Wrong way.
Down. There you go. Okay.
Now, what were those bullets from?
These were 223s from my rifle. And then the only pieces that we found in a 9mm. There was like, this would cover 1/4 of the 9mm that we were shooting. This is part of it. I have a bunch more than just that.
Y'all remember when we were so excited about our first few times out?
Me and my cousin were so excited we started collecting the bullets from it.
There you go.
Keep having to switch it
Whatever.
because
Yep, all the fragments you got there. Yep.
All right.
So, how old are you, Chris?
10.
10 in 6th grade, huh?
Yep. Skipped 5th.
Look at you. I actually decided I wanted to do 2nd grade twice, so.
He did homeschool for a few years, and then the opportunity came about for this flight school, and we decided to have him test to see if he could skip a grade, and he did just fine.
Well, that's cool.
Right on. Yeah, that's
I was
good.
the tallest 17-year-old in all of 4th grade.
Right over his head. He didn't even catch it. He said he was the tallest 17-year-old in 4th grade. Oh,
Yeah, I remember being in junior high school with some 18 and 19-year-olds.
Yep.
Yep, that was
They're
coming.
still there. They're still there.
This is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they usually in middle school, when they reached a certain age, they would force them to go to high school, even though
Yeah.
they didn't pass. Yeah.
Yep. That you pass no matter what theory.
Yeah, nowadays, because of the whole no child left behind thing, they were doing the same thing to my daughter. She has no short-term memory, so she was failing a lot of her classes, but yet she was still moving along in her grades. So once we started homeschooling her, everything was fine after that.
Yep. So he liked that route, but this is a little bit more on his career path that he wants. He wants to fly A-10s or be a Marine. So,
And this is a little warm-up
Yeah.
gun for the Marine.
There you go. 10 years old and already has an AR. I didn't have my first AR until just a few weeks ago because of this. I built this one. Bunch of good people out there donated me parts to make this rifle. So I built my very first AR.
What you got
Yep.
on it?
This is a Aero Precision buffer tube and spring. This is Palmetto State Armory. This is a Aero Precision upper and lower Magpul grip. BCM trigger guard.
Excellent.
This is just some kind of mil spec trigger. I don't know. Christian Gress actually sent me the trigger and most of the parts that got me started. This piece of work right here is actually a 15-inch free float rail from Gorilla Machining down in I think they're
Florida.
in Orlando, Florida. Yep.
Yeah, they're in Florida.
The barrel is a 1-8 twist, 5.56 barrel, just mil spec. Same thing with the gas block and the gas tube, mid length, and just a standard mil spec muzzle brake.
Well, I'll send you my polished trigger kit, buddy. I'll send you a polished trigger kit.
Oh, nice.
Mine gets down to a 2-pound pull.
Sweet. Yeah, this one's pretty light. I mean, I don't know what the poundage is on it, but yeah, that'd be awesome, man. I mean,
No,
I loved building this. Like, this is my first AR, and like I said, for my first AR, I wanted to build one. So Christian Gress was like, "All right, cool," and he sent me a whole bunch of parts and got me started.
That's awesome.
You know, I get a lot of these little things from Amazon suppliers for free. So I probably got about 10 or 15 of these sites.
Yeah. When PMBR, when we started Poor Man's Black Rifle back on Facebook 7 years ago, we were building rifles right and left for people, and everybody was trading back and forth. And next thing you know, the Facebook police showed up, and I'm in jail, Facebook jail, like every 3 days. I got 5 accounts.
Yeah, I remember when I first talked to you, you were I can't remember what the name was you were using then, and you were like, "Well, that's not
Dutch
really
Lynn.
the name."
Dutch Lynn.
Yeah, Dutch. Yep, that's right.
No, and then I got actually a funny story too to that is for PayPal, I am banned for life, and my address is banned for life because of receiving funds for a handguard, and I could not come up with the receipt. So PayPal last Christmas kept $2,200 and held it for 180 days and labeled me a domestic terrorist. Yes, that's God's truth.
Yeah.
Yep. And my wife went on and created a PayPal account, and they've come to the address and said that this household cannot have a PayPal account. So, yeah, isn't it wonderful?
Yeah, similar has happened to a couple of guys that I know, and they are actually just taking donations for charitable causes, and PayPal locked up their accounts. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. I guess if you got a surplus of money coming in and you're not, like you said, creating receipts or invoices for those payments, yeah, they think like you're a drug dealer or a domestic terrorist or something. Yeah.
Well, I live in Michigan now, brother. They transfer on that Venmo back and forth with little, the little leafy thingy. Paying, yeah, they pay right. Hey, let me give you your 35, and they do it right there.
Wow.
Yeah, but a gun's
This
illegal.
one second.
Yeah, Michigan
This
and
dude was
Colorado. I think Colorado is illegal now too with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Colorado,
Yep.
Massachusetts, Oregon. There's quite a few of them that are legal. I mean, I got nothing against it, but
I don't either. I just don't think that, I don't want to get on a tangent. And I know we've been on here a while, but it's just, this right here, the Constitution of the United States. I just don't get it. It's what's good for the goose ain't good for the gander. I have no problems with that crap either. It's just, the equality is gone. And that's one of the reasons, like with Chris, what you asked me earlier, it's just, this is our generation who's going to be taking care of my old butt. You know what I mean? I'm reaching an age right now that we all walk around with their little 3% signs and do all that stuff. I'm going to tell you what, I pulled a 175-pound deer 400 yards on opening night. I freaking died. I died. And if you're going to tell me I'm going to run out and battle, I'll die. I will die too. I will be here to defend my house, but I'm just being real with you. I got down on my knees halfway there, saw my truck, and it was still only like that big. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, take me now. I thought my heart was going to blow up and explode, man. I did. I had sweat pouring off my body. It's like 7:30, sun's down. I'm gutting a deer. I hit the you-know-what sack, and, oh, dude, it was a bad night. But I'm just saying, being funny, but I get it. And I'm all for it, but I like generations like this. The young man, Chris, this is what it's all about, is keeping this stuff alive for that next generation, because my old butt, I can talk big and sit there and be a warrior on the keyboard all day long, guys. But I'll be honest with you. Unless someone told me that there's a 32-ounce rib eye or something down the road, that's about as fast as you're going to get me running. Or being chased by a gun. That's about it. Otherwise, I might even turn around if you chase me the gun. Just shoot me, man. This is too hard.
Yep, I know your pain.
No, but I just sit and I live in Michigan. Of course, you guys know, and the militias up here are very heavy, and they're very active. And I go to them and I sell to them. I go to things, and I have nothing against everything, okay? But I'm just a realist. I see some of these guys, I'm like, unless I had a buy one, get one free quarter pounder at McDonald's, you all ain't running nowhere, And then you have the same guys who sit in their living rooms with 5 ARs. I never shot it, but yet they hate Anderson Manufacturing. They call down on the pores, and that's what, believe me, I put up a post today about that. It's just what this young man is done, and what I have experienced through Carl, Carl sends me messages, asks how I'm doing, wishing me happy Thanksgiving, and telling me what's going on with Chris. This isn't just how Kris Paronto said earlier. This isn't about blowing up anything. This is just about an injustice, and this is why I firmly had no qualms whatsoever of getting this done for Chris and getting a hold of Carl. And there was a lot of folks involved who got me in contact with Carl right away. So, I'm just a little place, dude. I mean, I don't even think I've hit $50,000-$60,000 sales in my year. You know what I'm saying? I'm just tiny. I get 7 orders on Black Friday, and I thought I hit the lotto. and then you go and pay shipping costs and realize you ain't have nothing left. So, and you guys all know. I mean, you know how it works. But this is, what Carl has done by raising this young man. He should write his own book on how to raise a boy. because he is a good, godly man who's raising a boy right, and you cannot come across fathers like him anymore. And so this was as much for his dad as it was for Kris himself too. That's something they can share together and make memories with. And yeah, it's
really a good boy, for sure.
Yeah, you didn't wave at your mama though, boy.
He's never gonna live it down neither.
Oh, buddy, you better learn quick about women.
They are always right, even when they're wrong.
I once thought I was right when I was mistaken.
It said boys to the left because women are always right.
Yep. That's how life works, bud.
I
Even if you are right, they're gonna get mad at you and say, "Why do you got to be right about everything?" And then you're still wrong.
Easy way to turn it around.
one of the dumbest people that are actually smart about guns, he put a 223 round in a Glock 19.
Oh.
Well, I did show you that earlier, Kris.
He was smart enough to move away from the gun and have a rope around the trigger, though. That's the only time he was smart enough to do.
Well, I remember what Christopher showed you earlier.
Yeah.
That wasn't real bright either.
Up there, buddy. Let me see there. There you go.
Classic.
I'll tell you guys a quick story real quick here. This is a 300 blackout round. When a man goes out and buys a Smith & Wesson M&P Sport 2, and he reads the directions and sees it says it takes 300 blackout and didn't see that it just meant lower. And his first shot out of a $650 gun was this, a 300 blackout. It took a steel rod and a 5-pound sledge to get that out. And she's almost 1.5 inches long. I'm trying to get that up there. It blew apart and the magazine shrapnelized in the side of the man's face. So lesson learned.
Yep. Won't do that one again.
Won't do that.
And the guy who put the 223 round, 19 just blew up. There was nothing left of it other than the rope, the handle, and the trigger. Nothing else.
Because it was a Glock.
Yeah.
I had to say it, man.
I thought Glocks were indestructible.
Yeah.
I've never had my dog chew a 1911. Anyways.
I got a Rottweiler outside that's howling.
Oh, my Lord, I can hear it.
Why does it sound like a dying hyena out there? Just why? Just why?
Yeah, that's my big, mean, scary Rottweiler who would sooner play with you and want you to pet her rather than attack you if you were breaking into the house.
Yeah, opposite of my dog, he's like a T-Rex. He will honestly try to kill you. He's mean, but to me, like around me and my sister, he's a big sweetheart. But around intruders, he's the devil. I'm not joking. He goes crazy.
That's the way he should be.
Yeah. I wish my Rottweiler was like that, but she's not. But at least we got this little beagle who would, he's like the alarm. If there's a noise, he is barking. So both my wife and I, we both sleep with a 9mm pistol next to our heads. So we're good.
That's it.
So my grandmother, who was trying to get into the house, she rang the doorbell. He's like banged to the door, and he is just barking his head off. It's funny. Like, he'll just be there for minutes just barking and barking until they try to come in. It's funny. But until he doesn't realize who it is, he will not let you open the door. It's funny.
Why don't you hand me your bag real quick?
This is
While we're doing this. So what else are you going to talk about, Chris?
So what's that
well,
bag for?
Yeah, tell them about your bag.
I was getting skeptical when he said you're probably not getting an AR-15, and then my mom said, "Well, we'll see." She basically just gave it up. That's how I knew I was probably gonna get an AR-15.
But you didn't think it'd be anything like this, did you?
No. I thought it'd be a basic AR-15. And then when I believe I already told you guys that the range was just pissed when we shot the green tips.
Yep, you already mentioned that. There you go.
It was funny. It was super funny.
Hey, man, it's okay to be excited, buddy.
Oh,
We all get excited like little kids when we shoot our guns anyway, too, brother. So don't. I still
Yep.
dig.
Oh, yeah. Plus, I was having a blast.
They ain't called giggle sticks for nothing.
if you want to see a 44-year-old man get excited every time he pulls the trigger, you just got to watch my videos.
That's it.
Yep.
It's the truth.
When he has fun, everybody at the range wants to see his rifle.
And every time I offer to clean up or offer to drive for the Marine Toys for Tots giving, I get free range time, and it's coming out my ears. Like, I have 3 free hours and 2 free guest passes.
Right on.
And
Keep
it's
gathering up
great.
all that free range time because I'll tell you what, there ain't nothing better than spending some good range time.
And they're not used to people wanting to clean up after themselves with their shells and stuff in there, and so when he started cleaning up after everybody, they got real excited.
Yeah, some ranges you'll probably get yelled at for that too. I've seen some old men get real mad when you go picking up their brass before.
Yeah. I haven't been
Yep.
to an indoor range in a couple of years now, so I wouldn't know.
Well, that's what's happening in Virginia.
Yeah,
They're getting rid of that stuff.
They're trying to make any kind of training a felony.
I heard the martial arts was being outlawed. That's what I
haven't heard that much, but I've heard any kind of like firearms training or anything or military style training. They're considering it to be a felony. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, I hear that it's not necessarily that it's more that if you're training to cause a civil or to cause a disturbance or something, I don't know, something like that. The way they worded it, so you can still do like the tactical training and all that stuff, but you can't do like military exercises trained, like militia exercises trained to overthrow, or I don't remember exactly what it was, the wording.
Yeah, but I think in the
either way, it's not good. I mean,
yeah, I think in the fine print of that bill, though, it refers to basically any kind of training along them lines, even just regular. If you were to go to a class just to teach you some basic firearm safety, I think they added those little fine print lines for those kind of training sessions as well. I mean, they're already talking about going and doing full blown door to door confiscations. So
that won't be a good time.
nope. But yeah, luckily enough, there's a majority of the counties and cities right now all becoming 2A sanctuaries. So, it's come to a point where I think finally, the people who haven't stood up are starting to stand up now because they're seeing it happen, and they never believed that it would happen, and now they're seeing it happen. So now they're like, okay, we need to get out here and do something about it. But they should have been doing something about it right along. But the complacency just gets, too overwhelming and ridiculous sometimes. And I guess it takes that hot candle underneath somebody's ass to really get them moving,
Yep.
One of the fun parts about having a gun in the house, I know where it is, and like if anyone comes in the house that's like an intruder and manages to capture my entire family, I know where the gun is. I can sprint into that room, charge it, put a magazine in it, and start lining the dude up.
That's why we're doing all of the practice.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's the fun part.
Well, I got another friend out there who is a firearms instructor, and I could probably talk to him and see. He's in St. Louis, but I know he travels, so I believe he goes to Colorado quite a bit. But I can talk to him and see if he would give you a free training session.
Ooh, there you go.
Ooh.
What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a friend of mine. His name is Kevin Dixie. He owns No Other Choice Firearms Training. You should check him out sometime. He's an excellent guy.
We'll check it out when we're done, huh?
Yeah.
I know he's looking forward to his tactical training. He keeps asking me if we've set it up yet.
Like, I'm like, hey, when am I going to do this? Hey, when am I going to do it? Hey, when am I going to do it? That's how much I'm on him for it.
So, what do you like best about the rifle that Chris and them guys built you?
Probably the shooting it.
Yes, that's the
But-
fun part. Yep.
Yes, that's what I like about it.
Oh, so you don't like the design?
I do.
Oh, I can send you a black one.
He doesn't like the cleaning.
You know what, little man? Listen, that is the most special part to any man is the cleaning. It is therapeutic. You learn it,
Yep.
You love it, and you do extra little things that you don't think anybody else thought of because your gun's going to shoot better. That's the way you always think.
Yep.
But it's yours. It's just like how the Marines say, "This is my rifle. This is mine. There's none other like it." And that's what that's like, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once you get to the point where you can understand and not have your dad over your back, you'll love it a little more. But your dad's trying to teach you now, so be a little humble.
It's hard when you can't get in there and do a lot of it, huh?
Yeah.
That's all right. You don't have to worry about it.
Most of the hands-on.
That's how I am, but I still had a dad too. We all had dads who used to be over our shoulders, and we do better when they're not around because they don't point out our mistakes as much, right?
Well,
Mm-hmm.
You'll learn to love it later in life, buddy.
Yep.
we had the only problem he had today was getting the wire brush down the barrel because he didn't have the push. As soon as we got that done, he was fine.
What'd you using?
Yeah.
What you using? You using a push rod?
223 kit, I believe.
Hey, let me show you something, my little friend.
Yes.
He's
That's what I was about to say.
This is called a boar snake. It's got a weight. Let me show you. Is he right there?
hang on. He's going to get his stuff real quick.
Yep. Boar snake is my favorite cleaning tool.
This is God's gift to all men.
Yeah, he's using his push rod. Hang on one second, Christopher.
Oh, he's getting his push rod.
This is what he has.
Hey, it's a good field kit. That's a good field kit.
The only thing
He's
we
going to
can't
show you
figure
something real
out-
quick.
Okay.
All right, let me watch you show you something. Here's your barrel.
Okay.
Take this little weight and you drop it down. And it comes out the bottom and you just pull it. And it's done.
That's what you need, huh?
Yeah. The only thing that we can't figure out in this toolkit is this. This is the only thing we can't figure it out.
All right, that is the lock back your bolt. It shows
Oh.
it shows that you're not, there's nothing in there in battery. It's a lot of people.
Okay.
You go to a lot of ranges, they require you to flag your chamber so you know that nothing can be put off inadvertently or set off, excuse me.
Thank goodness we don't have to do. They do that with their rented weapons that they have there. Go ahead and close the door, Chris. But they when you bring in your own, they don't really bother you much. The good thing that they do there, where we take him, is if you bring your own, you can't uncase it at all until you're at the line. They don't even let you show it to anybody out in the store or anything like that. Once you get to the line, you can uncase it, and then you can move your case out of the way. But you have to do everything there at the line.
Mm.
That's the only sucky part about the range.
So we go in there and get him all set up, and like when them 5.56 NATOs this past weekend, or just I guess yesterday, I told him, I says, because I was starting to load it, and he says, you can't use that. And I said, all right, well, I'll go out there and buy some of you guys' stuff. And I said, can I leave him here? He said, yeah, he's doing better than most of the adults. Go ahead and leave him all. So the range supervisor was just fine with him staying in there by himself.
Right on. There you go.
There you
Safety is key. That's for sure.
Always.
The funny part is, the guy, when I was trying to reload, because I ran out of ammo, I was trying to reload. He did the same exact thing. He came up to me. He said, you cannot. He didn't even tell me the reason. And I was like, why can't we use this? It's just a regular 5.56 going super duper fast. But I ended up hitting the wall and staying in the wall. That's the funny part.
Well, that means you didn't know what you were shooting on beyond your target. So that's what they were telling you about. That's rule number 4.
And it looked like it was dirt, even though it was foam.
Most of it is ground up tires. It's rubber. That's what a lot of people are using now is for the backstops is ground tires. And it looks like dirt.
Yeah, the indoor range I used to go to, they used a mixture of some foam and those ground up tires as their backstop. And then they had something else beneath that would catch the bullets as well. So I'm not sure exactly what it was, but
I'm not sure. We'll probably ask them next time. It's funny because the range supervisor told me, he says, you can come in with loaded magazines, but we can't watch you reload with it. I was like, okay. Because he told me, he says, if we don't know that it's in there, we ain't going to say nothing. I'm like, well, no, if it's wrong, we'll just bring different stuff. And he says, no, just come in with it loaded and you're fine. So, okay.
That's why we need 3 magazines. Just one more of those magazines and we'll be good.
So now, you're in Colorado, right? And I think there's a 15 round capacity in
10.
Colorado? 10. Oh, it's 10.
But it depends when it was made.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can have it.
And it's kind of comical because you go to the range where we go and they don't sell the 10s. They sell 20s and 30s.
That's the fun part about the range.
I was honestly worried when we went in there the first time. I says, I called him. I said, he's only got 30s. Is that going to be a problem? And he says, no, as long as he's safe, we don't care.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous. They want to limit the size of magazine that you can have too. It's just,
Yep.
That's the only sad part. But the crazy part is just last year, I believe, that our neighbors were something. I believe we know they do drugs and smoke and such. So they either got high or they got drunk and started a shootout. If we had the AR, and we knew where the handgun is that my grandfather owns, me and Dad could have just went out there and started just canceling that shootout.
It was a crazy night. It was a couple days before Thanksgiving last year, and the neighbors decided it was a good time to have a shootout, and there was a couple hundred rounds laying around on the ground out there.
And the saddest part is one of the people trying to get away, who ended up, I believe, paralyzed, who I think got shot in the back somehow, was driving, and when she got shot in the back, and then she couldn't control where it was going to go, and it ended up hitting the person in the apartment who was elderly, who ended up getting trapped under the car and ended up in critical condition.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty crazy there.
We changed. There we are.
Yep. It looks like Josh lost connection. So.
Yeah, he left a while back.
He went to bed.
He's down in Texas, so it's still pretty early there. But he might have fell asleep, might have taken a nap. I don't know. Well, how? Let me ask you this: when that shootout happened, how long did it take for the police to show up?
There was more than just a shootout. A couple weeks later,
he's asking you a question about that.
It was like, they ended up scattering, but they came back. There was one cop there. He requested for backup, and it took like 5 minutes for the other cops to get here.
Yep.
They were surrounding the neighborhood, and there was one cop who was in the center of the neighborhood, the one that showed up, the first one, and then the drug car came up, and they were the first ones to be arrested. The fun part about it was they got stuck in the snow all night.
It for their full response, I think it was close to 10 minutes. And we live in a major city where there's cops everywhere. And
that's pretty bad.
They sent the first guy, like Chris said, he was here just a couple of minutes. But of course, being a shooting, he can't come in by himself. So everybody was scattering while he was waiting to come in here for everybody else. And but like Chris was saying, they pulled everybody out of the house next door and made them sit in the middle of a snowstorm all night long while they were trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And that was at about midnight the shooting happened, and they didn't leave until about 7 o'clock in the morning.
And then there was about 5 detectives every week surrounding the neighborhood. There was one right outside, one inside the neighborhood, one right by the neighborhood, one behind our house, and one behind two, I think like 2 neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm. They were all over the place for a while.
Yeah, it was like 2 left. And then after 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, they had a knife fight. And then after that, they had a fist fight.
There's some really wonderful folks living next door.
Yeah, you got some interesting neighbors. Sounds like the neighboring town that I lived in when I was up in Massachusetts growing up. I mean, but that was all gangbangers and gang violence there.
Yep. Well, just recently, one of the kids in that family that was part of that shootout, he got busted on the western slope in Grand Junction, Colorado, robbing stores
with a extended magazine.
Yeah, and so he ended up getting felonies because he had an extended magazine with him while he was doing it.
Yeah.
And so he's gonna be gone for a while.
He has a bunch of things on assault with a loaded weapon, and there was a lot more, and that kind of makes me feel safer And 95% of that safer part is having the AR.
He definitely is happy that he's got a way to protect him.
Especially in bad situations, if like you guys get captured in the home, he doesn't walk into the room, and I know where the rifle is. I'd box it, load it, and just let it loose on him.
So let me ask you this: what kind of sights are you using on your AR?
Red.
You got a red dot on there?
Yep.
You got some backup iron sights?
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
We're getting them, just not yet.
Right on.
Plus, we might send it to Chris.
He's gonna send it to you and have you fix it for him. He doesn't trust me.
Well, I think you need to let your dad do it, bro.
Iron sights.
Hey, I'm going to tell you this, and I don't want to. You
Oh.
got to learn how to sight in, buddy, because if it's
Like the
it's not.
He was gonna say, he said the wrong person. He said he wanted to get the stuff and then send it to Mike so that Mike could get the matching Cerakote on it so everything matches.
Oh, well, what is it you're wanting to match?
The rifle.
He wants to get the iron sights with the same paint job.
Oh, you don't want to paint your iron sights, buddy.
You can leave them black.
Leave them black.
Just like the red dot's
Hey,
black.
your opinion. Hey, I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
If someone asked me an opinion, I'd say don't paint your iron sights. That's you're dancing with the devil there.
Okay, yeah, it could make them harder to see. That's for sure.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But you want to learn how to use iron sights. This is what I was told. You want to learn how to use iron sights before you learn how to use a red dot.
I agree.
And then once you got the, because you're not going to get that red dot when you go in the military.
Nope.
You're going to get your iron sights first.
And then we'll work our way up to the very fancy scopes.
Depending on what you use, yeah.
M16 or I forgot that.
Ding.
I think with the M16s, they just keep the iron sights, and you don't get upgraded sights from there. So
most of the time.
Yeah.
Other times,
you don't get anything on the M16s. You get them on the fancy sniper rifles.
Not always. Some M16s do, like in a Marine. They do have.
I don't know. But yeah, that's our next.
That was probably an M4, not an M16.
Yeah. Our next adventure is going to be picking some of those up.
Well, it's not a hard adventure.
No, they got him there.
As he turns around and walks away.
He's got a whole bunch of them right there. Boom.
Yep. I got a couple sets for free from the Amazon guys. I sent a set to my buddy the Archangel, and he's got them on his AR9.
You've got enough stuff sent to you, Miss.
I know. One more thing, and I'd just be, nope, no more.
You got so much stuff, you don't know what to do with it all.
Right on. Well, all right, we've hit the mark, so we're going to end the broadcast now.
All right.
It was excellent talking to Kris Paronto, and excellent having you guys on here. I thank y'all for coming on, and I'm sorry Josh had something he had to go do, or he would be here to say, goodbye to you guys as well. So, all right, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all have fun.
All right.
You guys just hang out right there.